A new kind of money. Bitcoin is not like normal money. It does not exist in your hand or in a bank. It is digital, only on computers and networks. No government or central bank controls it. It was created in 2009 by a person using the name Satoshi Nakamoto. No one knows who Satoshi really is. Bitcoin works on a system called blockchain. Blockchain is a public record of every Bitcoin transaction. This record is stored on many computers around the world. No single person or group can change it. This makes Bitcoin very hard to fake or steal. It is built on trust in technology, not in banks. In the past, people needed banks to send money. Banks check if you have enough money and move it safely. But banks take time and charge fees. In some countries, banks are not fair or not available. Bitcoin can send money fast, across borders with low cost. It gives power to people without bank access. For example, a worker in the Philippines can send money to his family. With banks or services like Western Union, he pays high fees, and it can take days. With Bitcoin, the money arrives in minutes and costs less. Even better, no one can stop the payment. This is important in places with weak governments or high inflation. Some countries, like El Salvador, now accept Bitcoin as legal money. They hope it will help poor people and grow the economy. People can pay for food, rent, or phones with Bitcoin. Small shops use simple apps to receive it. But not everyone agrees. Some fear it is too unstable. The value of Bitcoin goes up and down a lot. This is not because of a company or economy, but because of demand. Some people buy it as a long-term store of value, like digital gold. They believe one day it could be more stable. But today, its price changes fast, which can be risky. Bitcoin also has a limit. Only 21 million will ever exist. This is different from normal money, which governments can print more of. When money is limited, it may keep its value better over time. Many see this as protection against inflation. But others say this limit can also make prices go wild. Still, Bitcoin has changed how people think about money. Big companies like Tesla and Microsoft now accept it. Banks and financial groups are studying blockchain to improve their systems. Some are creating their own digital money using similar ideas. Bitcoin started a global conversation about the future of finance. It is not perfect. Bitcoin uses a lot of electricity because of mining, the process that keeps it safe. This harms the environment if the power comes from coal or oil. Scientists are working on greener ways to run the network. And laws are changing to make Bitcoin safer and fairer. Bitcoin is not just a tool for rich investors. It is a new idea. Money that is open, global, and free from control. It may not replace banks, but it can help build a fairer system. One day, it could give millions more people control over their money. The real value of Bitcoin is not its price, it is its promise. Learning to bake bread. Tom was a 35-year-old office worker in Chicago. He spent most of his days sitting at a desk. He ate fast food for lunch and frozen meals at night. One day, his doctor said, "You need to eat healthier." Tom decided to learn how to cook, starting with bread. He had never baked anything before. He bought a book, Easy Bread for Beginners. He also watched videos online about flour, yeast, and ovens. On Saturday morning, he went to the store and bought ingredients. He got flour, yeast, salt, sugar, and milk. At home, he read the first recipe, simple white bread. He mixed the flour and yeast in a big bowl. He added warm water and stirred it with a spoon. The mixture looked sticky and strange. He kneaded it for 10 minutes, but his arms got tired. He put the dough in a bowl and covered it with a cloth. The book said, "Wait 1 hour for the dough to rise." Tom checked after 20 minutes. Nothing happened. He checked again after 40 minutes. Still flat. He felt disappointed. He called his mother, who lived in another city. She said, "Did you use warm water? Yeast needs warmth to work." Tom realized he used cold water. He tried again that evening with warm milk. This time, the dough grew bigger and soft. He shaped it into a loaf and put it in a pan. He heated the oven to 190 degrees Celsius, as the book said. But after 25 minutes, the bread was still pale and wet inside. He left it longer, but then the top turned black. The first loaf was hard on the outside and raw inside. Tom almost gave up. But he remembered a small bakery near his office. The baker, an old man named Mr. Liu, smiled every day. Tom went there and asked, "Can you teach me to bake bread?" Mr. Liu said, "Come at 5 a.m. tomorrow. Baking starts early." Tom arrived sleepy but excited. Mr. Liu showed him how to feel the dough. It should be like your earlobe. He taught him to listen to the oven. A good loaf sings when it's done. Tom learned to wait, to watch, and to be patient. He practiced every weekend for 2 months. One day, he baked a loaf perfectly golden and soft. He cut a slice, added butter, and took a bite. It was warm, delicious, and made with care. He brought a loaf to Mr. Liu, who smiled and said, "Now you are a baker." Tom started baking bread every Sunday. He gave loaves to his coworkers and neighbors. Some even asked to buy it. He didn't sell it, but he shared it with joy. Baking bread changed more than his diet. It changed his life. He felt calmer, prouder, and more connected to simple things. And every time he smelled fresh bread, he thought of Mr. Liu and the gift of patience. Learning to drive. Lena was a 24-year-old librarian in Seattle. She took the bus everywhere and had never driven a car. Her best friend, Maya, always said, "You should learn to drive." One rainy Tuesday, the bus broke down and Lena was 2 hours late for work. That night, she decided, I will get my driver's license. She found a driving school and signed up for 10 lessons. Her instructor, Mr. Davies, was strict but kind. He had a blue car with double pedals and mirrors. On the first day, Lena sat in the driver's seat and felt nervous. Her hands were cold and her heart beat fast. Mr. Davies said, "First, learn the controls." Lena practiced starting the engine, using the signals, and checking mirrors. Then she tried moving the car slowly in an empty parking lot. She pressed the gas too hard and jumped forward. "Calm down," Mr. Davies said. "Driving is about control, not speed." In the third lesson, they drove on quiet streets. Lena forgot to check her blind spot and turned too soon. A cyclist had to brake quickly. Lena felt terrible and almost quit. But Mr. Davies said, "Everyone makes mistakes. You just learn from them." At home, Lena watched driving videos and drew maps of the city. She practiced saying the rules out loud. Stop at red lights. Yield at crosswalks. Her cat, Max, watched her like a real student. She even dreamed about traffic signs. The fifth lesson was on a busy road. Cars honked, lights changed fast, and rain began to fall. Lena froze at an intersection and blocked the lane. Other drivers got angry and shouted. She pulled over and cried. "I can't do this," she said. Mr. Davies didn't scold her. He said, "Fear is normal, but you're stronger than you think." The next week, he took her on the same road in the morning when it was calm. She did much better and even made a smooth left turn. She began to feel a little confident. Midway through her training, her mother called. "Your uncle is sick," she said. "We need to visit him at the hospital." Maya offered to drive, but Lena said, "No, I'll drive." She wanted to prove she could do something important. With Mr. Davies beside her, she drove to the hospital. She used her signals, kept the speed limit, and parked carefully. When she arrived, her family clapped. Even her uncle smiled and said, "My brave niece." After 8 weeks, Lena was ready for the driving test. She practiced parking between cones and driving through city blocks. On test day, her hands shook again. The examiner sat beside her and said, "Drive safely and follow the rules." She passed a school zone, turned left at a green light, and parallel parked perfectly. The examiner smiled. "Congratulations, you've passed." Lena couldn't believe it. She wanted to scream and dance. That evening, she drove to the library, alone, with the windows down. The sun was setting and the city looked beautiful. She didn't need the bus anymore. But more than that, she had learned courage, focus, and patience. Learning to drive wasn't just about a license. It was about believing in herself. The Wounded Eagle and the Teacher. Mark was a high school science teacher in a small town. He often took long walks in the forest on weekends. He loved nature and kept a journal of the birds he saw. One cold morning in early autumn, he followed a deer trail into the woods. The leaves were golden and mist floated between the trees. Suddenly, he heard a soft, sharp cry above the silence. It was not the call of a hawk or a crow. He looked around and found a young eagle caught in a thorny bush. Its left wing hung at a strange angle. It was broken. The bird tried to move, but fell back, weak and frightened. Mark knelt slowly and spoke in a calm voice. "I won't hurt you," he said. He took off his coat and gently covered the eagle. With careful hands, he freed the bird from the thorns. He held it close to keep it warm and carried it to his car. At home, he turned his garage into a temporary shelter. He built a large wooden box with soft hay and placed it near the heater. He called the State Wildlife Center, but they were full. They said, "You can keep it for now, but release it before winter." Mark knew eagles could not survive without proper training. For days, he cleaned the wound and gave the eagle fresh meat. He named it Freedom because that was what it would need one day. He watched videos on how to care for injured raptors. He even asked a veterinarian friend for help. Slowly, Freedom began to eat more and lift its good wing. But Mark had a problem. His landlord told him, "You can't keep wild animals in the house." Mark explained, but the landlord threatened to end his lease. That night, Mark sat in the garage, feeling hopeless. Freedom looked at him with sharp, golden eyes. Then, an idea came. Mark worked at a school. Maybe his students could help. He talked to the principal and got permission. They set up a safe enclosure behind the school garden. Students built a small shelter with wood and wire. It had shade, water, and space for Freedom to stretch. Mark started a wildlife club at school. Students took turns feeding Freedom and keeping the area clean. They wrote reports about eagles and gave presentations. One girl made a poster, "Save our Sky King." The whole town began to care about the eagle. After 3 months, a wildlife expert came to check Freedom. She said, "The wing has healed well. It can fly again." But the bird still needed practice. Mark and the students took Freedom to a quiet valley every weekend. They let it fly short distances, building strength. One sunny morning in spring, Freedom flapped its wings hard and rose into the sky. It circled high above the trees, once, twice, then flew toward the mountains. Everyone cheered, and some even cried. Mark smiled and whispered, "You're free now." A year later, Mark was walking in the same forest. He looked up and saw a large eagle circling above. It called loudly, a sound he would never forget. He wasn't sure if it was freedom, but he liked to believe so. Some bonds, even silent ones, never truly break.